Hey, how's it going all? This is mad funny. I just want to post a video on this. So I actually mirrored this exact video on my channel titled, Here's What Drove the Repo Rate Higher. And so, it's a good video to check out. An individual from Goldman Sachs is explaining, why this repo rate spiked recently to, I think, around 10%, which just means that there's less liquidity out there. There's less people who are willing to lend, at the normal, quote, normal rates. I believe it's around 2% for overnight lending for people to meet their reserve requirements or to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. And so this is what's going on, in the last little while. And then it's looks like this repo program is going to extend for a couple weeks. And so the thing I wanted to point out first off is the likes and dislikes. 71 thumbs up, 30 thumbs down. That's me thumbing it down. I just want to go through the comments. This is not sorted or filtered in any way. I just clicked on the video and then you'll see all the ones that I liked. And to me, it's just becoming obvious. And this is a credit to all the alternative news and just everybody with common sense. Now, we know that something's going on. And so just kind of going from top down, what a load of scripted crap. You can tell from her eyes that she doesn't believe what she's saying, but she has her order. And I reply 1000% agree. And these people should all go to jail for lying to the public. This is complete BS. Is convinced. So Beth Hammock, that's the lady from Goldman Sachs who's saying that, the repo stuff, everything's all good, not a problem. She's like, Beth Hammock is convinced that everything is okay. Pity she cannot explain why, which is true. She didn't go into why we shouldn't be worried about this. It's obviously a major sign, and this kind of thing happened prior to the '08 crash where this overnight lending, the collateral that was used were losing value, and so people were not willing to lend because they didn't even think that the next day that what they were holding would be able to hold its value because it was declining in value so fast. People were starting to see that these mortgage-backed securities were just fraudulent. So this person's like, I think we're in a good place. She said 22 trillion in debt. I didn't like that one just because I'm not sure. I didn't follow that whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. I don't know or care what's going on with that. This Beth Hammock is a liar. There's a massive stealth QE happening right now. This is 2008 on steroids. Be warned. That's true. QE is just basically central banks buying assets, and I use the term assets loosely. They're just buying stuff, in the open market and building their balance sheet. And so they call that quantitative easing just to make it sound good, but it's just basically the Fed being the buyer when everybody else is selling and kind of getting out of Dodge. Cooter's BBQ is like, get the F out of here with that BS. No one believes anything that woman says. BS. We're bailing out the banks again. She's a good liar, though. We'll all give her that credit for that. Nobody's worrying about U.S. treasuries except China, Russia, and India. That's hilarious. CNBC says, go back to sleep. I feel much better. Oops, I just had a bad dream that the people who own the media are trying to get the little guys to stay in the market to cover their escape. Nah, they have our best interests at heart. Back to sleep. Not. Real solid line towing here. You will be forgotten. We're prepared for zero interest rates. She said that in the video, and this person's like, now that sounds like you know something. So we're going to zero and negative. I mean, there's no way interest rates can go back up to 5-10%, which is what it would be in a normal system. And then for those Bible people that are hanging around my channel, charging interest is evil in and of itself. So we're in a quadruply satanic system that's charging interest, first of all, charging exorbitant amounts of interest rates, charging interest on things that should not even be charged interest, like in education. And I've heard cases of people even being charged interest when they've passed away. They're still getting bills and all this kind of stuff, from their credit cards, and still being offered credit cards and all this kind of stuff. The system's completely moronic. Government handouts to banks are always welcome by banks. No worries. True. A lady that could lose her job by using a wrong phrase did well, but can you trust anyone from Goldman Sachs? Gold and silver are telling you what's really happening. That's true. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along, please. Just a good old dose of mega going on here. Make America great again. That has to be like the most ridiculous phrase that I've ever heard, in lieu of all the things that are going on. Sounds like free handouts for banks. When do I get my mortgage repoed? LOL. Even the hosts are cringing. That's true, actually. I mean, they know. I mean, thankfully, we're all human, and we know. Thankfully, God made all of us, so we can tell when somebody's lying. Like, it would be scary if these people would not be reacting, the way that normal people react when they lie. But again, this is God's design. He's making it very, very obvious, and these comments are making it also very clear that the truth is getting out. I mean, people know that the mainstream corporate media is just that, corporate. Nothing going on here. Sure, the Fed can push on a string too if needed, and the Fed can even ride in on the purple unicorns wearing their rainbow tighties if that is what the public wants. Laugh my effing ass off. All central banks have everything under wraps. Nothing to see here. LOL, so obvious what's happening. The NWO, New World Order, needs more printed cash to keep all the scams operational. The music is about to stop. Buy all the hard assets you can with your cash now. Nothing to see here. Move along. Socialism for the banks and capitalism for workers. That's true. I like that. You guys and your debt-based money scams. That's a believe me look if I've ever seen it. Is it legal to enslave people by printing them into debt? Not according to the Bible. It is in the world that we live in. Sure, buddy, companies paid their taxes. So that is reference to a point in the video where this overnight borrowing was required because companies were paying their taxes. So this guy's making light of that which companies are actually paying taxes. Certain companies like Amazon and others pay very little to no taxes. Unlike a regular repo where the bank snatches your house and car and throws you out on your behind, in a Fed repo it gives $400 billion to the big banks and kisses their behinds. They are losing control. They lose power with each move they make. That's true. It's becoming obvious. When the banker from Goldman Sachs says everything is okay, she means it's okay for them, not for anyone else. It's just about over, folks. The slaves are going to be bankrupted soon. That's us. Just not sure if it's right before Trump re-election or after. My guess is after, as Trump is on it. The lady is a display of everything wrong with the Fed, shameful and arrogant. Is she bootlicking central bankers? CNBC lies all the time. Wait, why is no one talking about the 2 and 5 year bonds inverting at the 43-second mark? The Fed never makes a mistake. I can't remember. I think she said that. The woman from Goldman Sachs. That definitely deserves an LOL. By printing easy money, Fed causes stock prices to increase without a fundamental rise in value. Absolutely correct. The money supply dictates the quote value of everything on earth right now. And it's exorbitant and extremely superfluous is not even the right word. It's just it's ridiculous, the amount of money that's been printed. I don't believe this snake for 1 second. Lady in blue is full of crap. No one is buying this BS, but better have some silver bars handy. Full of crap. They are out of control. Wait for the margin calls and repo of assets. And the rest of us, we get a lot of bargains. So go ahead, keep borrowing, get over your head. Can't wait for the payback. Criminal. I got to get my boots on because the BS is getting real deep in here. The question that should be asked is, why is the Federal Reserve acting as a buyer of last resort for U.S. Treasuries? What is the Fed buying? What is the Fed buying these treasuries with, and where did this money originate from? Excellent question. I mean, they're just printing money. It's just they're making it up. The Fed balance sheet grew $800 billion ahead of the financial crisis, the 08 one. Then it grew significantly more post-crisis. The Fed just injected $250 billion in the last 4 days and still counting. Sounds like we are at it again. Rumor has it that Deutsche Bank was unwinding 100 plus billions of fixed assets. No other bank would swap or accept them as collateral because of how junk those assets were. That's interesting. It's crazy how people have remained ignorant to what is happening in the markets and in the economy. Yeah, that's true too. Too big to fail. Again, don't ever trust a woman like her. Does anyone know if deposits are safe in the U.S.? There's no. This person's probably asking sincerely, but nothing is safe. These are just numbers, and the whole issue is going to be food. And Zero Hedge posted an article recently. It's a good one about how quickly food shortages can happen, and that's the real issue. It's like these numbers and all the accounting and all that. There are systems in place, I guess, to make sure that the numbers balance, I guess, from one person's account to another. And like this whole thing is pointing out, there's really an unlimited amount of money they can push in the system. It's more just when companies are literally not being paid and demand slows down, and then credit markets lock up, and then people don't pay their bills, and then things don't get shipped, including food. And I think that's what we're kind of being teed up for. We're in a good place. Those were her exact words. I don't understand how CNBC can get away with this. However, did anyone notice how uncomfortable the presenters look at times at what she was saying? I don't think they believed anything that came out of her mouth. Of course, they were far too cowardly to say it. This is kind of funny, actually. I remember this post. If the Fed is going to start QE4, then why don't they just make it permanent, never ending? The Fed should come clean and tell the American people that free market capitalism had failed. Next, the Fed could expand their mandate to allow them to print money and buy stocks, real estate, and even cars. The stock market would never go down again. We would all stay fully invested, risk-free. Americans wouldn't have to own homes and cars we can all rent from the Fed. All of our needs would be met through universal basic income. Inflation would never exceed our basic needs because the Fed can always print more and more money and just dole it out. MMT is such a simple concept. It's difficult for most to comprehend why the Weimar Republic failed. When QE4 begins, America as we know it will change forever. Everyone will ask, what is money? Why are we wasting our lives working for money when the Fed can just print money and give it out for free? If you want that answer, simply read about why socialism, communism, and fascism have all failed. Last, never give up your guns, America. We can vote our way into socialism, but we'll have to shoot our way out of it. Ex-Trump supporter when QE4 begins. So, I did not sort these or filter these or cherry pick. I'm just literally reading down. I'll thumbs up almost every single one. And again, this is CNBC television. You would think that they have some trolls, to go in there and, hand clap, and slow clap for this show, this charade that's going on. So, this to me is probably more powerful than the actual message in the video of the repo rate jumping to 10% and all that kind of stuff. The trickery going on. Look at the response, of probably a lot of American people. I think this thing's coming to an end. Be careful out there. Like I said, I think the next thing that it will start affecting us personally is food supply. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.